As I live and breathe. You might have distorted the microphone on that one, sir.
Did I really?
Yeah, you might
my
have.
bad.
You might have.
Very quietly. Very quietly.
They're probably just hearing right now.
What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome to Improv Gaming here on Tuesday's episode of the Gamescast. Every Tuesday and Thursday here on youtube.com/ImprovGaming and live Sunday shows at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What we are talking to you about today is something very, very dire.
It's dire?
It's dire.
Or... Because dire is very negative. It has like a negative connotation to it, doesn't it?
Dire Straits, you know?
Yeah, scary straits.
The Super NES Classic has been announced by Nintendo.
It's been officially announced. We already knew that this was coming, right? Rumors were all over the place that this was going to be a thing. I was angry about it because that meant that there was a factory that was not focusing its resources towards Switches. But
we'll get to that.
More on that later.
We'll get to that. Don't worry. Let's start off by saying it's coming out September 29th.
September 29th, ladies and gentlemen, just in time for the holiday rush.
Well, it's like they planned it.
Yeah, it's as if like they want you to buy that for the holiday.
You might not like the price, though.
How much are we looking at?
$80.
$80. What was the NES
60.
Classic? $60. It's not. I mean, they saw how successful the NES Classic was, so why not hike the price a little bit, control the flow of product out the door, therefore people can get it. I mean, $80 isn't going to really stop anybody from buying 37 of them and selling them on eBay for $500. But, you know.
100%. The games. There are 21 games, Nick.
How much was on the last one? Like 35, right?
Yes.
So less games on this one, which kind of makes sense, right? The games are probably going to be a bit bigger. Pardon me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just having a hard time with the fruit roll up here.
So we have Super Mario World.
Okay, which is
course.
like you have to.
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart, the original, which is a must.
Legend of Zelda Link to the Past.
A fan favorite.
Super Metroid.
Okay.
F-Zero.
Fan favorite again.
Street Fighter 2.
Why not?
Super Punch-Out.
Really?
Castlevania 4.
Okay.
Donkey Kong Country.
The first 3D rendered video game.
Mega Man X.
Very, very, very popular title.
Yoshi's Island.
Okay.
Star Fox.
Star Fox, the original.
Oh,
3D,
we'll get to that, sir.
The original 3D in-engine video game.
Keep Star Fox in the back of your mind for a second.
It's back there.
Kirby's Dream Course.
Dream Course? I've never heard of that one.
Secret of Mana.
Secret of Mana? Okay.
Earthbound.
Oh, that's a classic.
And Ghosts and Goblins. Now, the interesting fact, sir, is there is one other game. And for the first time ever, you can play the never-before-released game of Star Fox 2.
Really? Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I told you to keep it in the back of your mind.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice little like tidbit from Nintendo there, giving some love to the fans.
So, just so you know, Star Fox 2, stands out of this classic, of course, it is a full sequel to the original Star Fox that was completed but canceled. The full version of the game has been known about for several years, but it has not been released until now. Also, the NES Classic comes bundled with two
SNES.
SNES, apologies.
Mm-hmm.
The SNES Classic controllers come with two, and they are longer than the NES Classic cords. I know that was a big concern for a lot of people.
How much longer, Pete? Did they say how much longer?
Yes, they did. Give me one moment, sir, and I will let you know the answer to your question when I find it. But before
we've got all day, Pete. Well, take your time.
I will take my time. Also, just before we get into that, Nintendo has also committed on manufacturing a greater number of the SNES Classic Edition consoles. You know, they realized that they really bombed with the NES Classic.
Well, they weren't expecting that kind of a turnout for the NES Classic, right? Like, how many people are going to say, "Hey, we're gonna retrofit"? Well, let me put it this way, right? When you put out a ROM device like that, generally they don't sell well. You know, like the Genesis Classic and stuff like that. Like generally, they just don't move units unless they're unless they're made. Well, let's clarify this, right? Nintendo proved that if it's made by the original fucking manufacturer,
It sells.
it's gonna sell because this is the real person taking care of it. When you get that third party like ROM emulator kind of system, it usually doesn't do well. You know, we've seen these retro consoles for years. We've seen them, you know, the retro gamers and stuff like that. You go into any Urban Outfitter for the past 10 years, you've seen a version of this in one shape or another. Even the Genesis one you've seen, but they just don't move units like they did, or like the NES Classic did, because it wasn't a big announcement. Nintendo gets behind it and says, hey, we're going to make one that's officially licensed by Nintendo. Number one, the Nintendo fanboys are going to go crazy. Number two, the old-time gamers like us are going to go crazy. It's gonna be a knockout. But you can't foresee that, right? Nintendo was the proving of that kind of a thing, and they're gonna get stronger in terms of they should get stronger in terms of development for this.
So the cord is going to be 5 feet long, which is about 2 feet longer than the cord for the NES
Classic. What the fuck
Classic.
is 5 feet gonna do? What the fuck is 5 feet gonna do? Look at the distance between my television and my couch. What the fuck is 5 feet gonna do? Come on, Nintendo, get your head out of your asses.
But you get 2
controllers. Can I tie them together and make it a 10-foot cord?
Okay, so I want to talk about some of these games quick.
Okay.
And I figured you would like to talk about it. I left off one because
Why?
I'm very excited to talk about one.
Okay.
And it's a game I've always wanted, so let me know in the comments if you're excited. The game, of course, I left out was Super Mario RPG, The Legends of the Seven Stars.
Yeah, well, this is like the first run at a Mario RPG game, I believe, and this
Similar
is the
to Paper
basis.
Mario.
This is the basis for Paper Mario. Like this is where Paper Mario started. Was they did the Super Mario RPG a couple of years later? They wanted to reapproach it, and they're like, well, why don't we do the same RPG all over again? But then they came up with the idea of Paper Mario. Like we can do it in a fun way that Nintendo is known for. Completely different, completely fun, you know.
But I remember that 7 Star I hear is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to jump into that. Also, Super Metroid, never played that.
Never played that's Super Metroid 4, right?
Yeah. And then, what else? And Mega Man X. Very excited for that.
You never played Mega Man X? No?
Never played a Mega Man.
Phenomenal game. Phenomenal game.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love that. That's like my Mega Man. That's like the Mega Man that I grew up with. I love that Mega Man.
So does this $80 sell you for these games?
Yeah, I mean these games are a pretty good combination of games, right? Plus you get Earthbound. I don't know if that's
Never played.
Earthbound 2, right? If it's Mother or Mother 2, I'm not sure which one it is. If it's Mother, which is the release title in Japan, that's going to be awesome because a lot of people haven't gotten their hands on that in the States. If it's Mother 2, which is titled in the U.S. as Earthbound, I believe, then, you know, it's still good to kind of relive that. That's where you get Ness from Super Smash Brothers. That's where he's from. That's where he lives, right there in Earthbound.
So you also have Link to the Past. Very great
Huge
job.
title. That's a huge title, right? In and of itself, I think the cartridge goes for more than 80, I believe, if you can get a cartridge.
You have the Super Mario World, of course. Mario Kart, very cool. Very excited about that one. What else we got here? Super Punch-Out, always a classic. But the very big hit here is Star Fox 2. The unreleased Star Fox 2.
Yeah, that's the big guy, right? Like that's the huge like
That's the $20 bonus.
yeah, that's the huge one, right? Star Fox 2, the never before played Star Fox 2 or never before released Star Fox 2. I'm sure plenty of people have played it, but nobody outside of the development team or dev kits or anything like that, reviewers and shit like that. It's going to be I think that's going to be the driving force of the console. I think that $80 is going to mean nothing because of the Star Fox 2 that's on that emulator.
Because of course you can get basically all these games on your virtual console from your Wii U or your Wii.
Yeah, you can get all of these games.
You know,
right?
I end up getting Super Mario World. I've gotten Mario Kart. One thing I'm very interested to is Final Fantasy 3.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very good collection of games. Like, it shows that with the NES Classic, there was a butt ton of games. But granted, they were great games. Super Mario, Super
Well,
Mario
it seems like there was a
3.
little more curating that went into this process for the SNES. It was like, what can we bring to this classic version that we didn't necessarily bring to the other one, right? In terms of quality over quantity. And I'm kudos to the guy that was like, hey, Star Fox 2 works. Why don't we put that on there? Kudos to that guy. And I was like, hey, we have a fully operational Star Fox 2 that nobody has ever played.
Let's let him play.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. And then, like I said, 5 feet instead of now 3 feet.
I mean, still, like,
which is still,
in terms of a living room, like, it's not feasible. You know what I'm saying? Like, my PlayStation is cordless. Like, I understand you want to give that classic approach and you want the cord to be there. I get it. But my PlayStation is cordless. I can play from my bathroom if I really wanted to. Provided I can get a screen in there. But I could still play from my bathroom. I can play from across the house if I really wanted to. I was able to access my PlayStation 3 from upstairs around the corner and through Bumblefuck when I first got the PlayStation 3. But you're already tethering me, but you're not giving me a long enough tether. I as a gamer, I don't like to be tethered anymore. I've become accustomed to just like this free roaming experience.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And you're tethering me, but you're not giving me any kind of slack on that tether. So for me, 5 feet still doesn't accomplish anything. Like, I would have preferred a 10-foot cord. I know it can be done. I would have preferred something. I think the reason that they're doing it this short is because, and this is like inside baseball talk.
Nick's not a sports person.
I'm not, but it's inside baseball talk. I know what the phrase means. This is very inside baseball. In terms of electrical current, the certain amount of distance that you have between the input to the receiving end or the output to the input affects the quality of that. So there might be issues when they're trying to extend it to 10 feet where the button presses aren't reaching the console.
Yeah.
It's the same issue that you get when you're charging your controller on a 10-foot Energizer cord. Sometimes it just doesn't reach the controller. It doesn't charge it fast enough, and you start to get battery low on your controller even though it's plugged in.
Yeah, 100%. That happens with the Switch. If you have a rechargeable battery for the Switch and you're on the plane, sometimes the Switch more power if you're playing like Legend of Zelda.
Well, no, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I'm just saying as an example with, the input and the battery life.
Well, this is just about the length of the cord.
Yeah.
Electricity can't travel the full length unless there's enough power coming from the other side. So if the console has a certain amount of voltage it's putting out to the controller, which isn't the case. This is the opposite, right? How much voltage is this putting back into the console? So it's got to travel up and then travel back. So it's already traveling 10 feet. You extend it to 10 feet, 10-foot cord, it's traveling up 10 feet,
20.
traveling back 20. So that electrical current isn't going to reach the console again.
Oh, no, I was just saying another example, sir. Don't be hating on me.
It's not the same example.
It doesn't matter.
It's not comparable.
It could be.
It's not.
Batteries.
It's not. No. I understand you think it is.
And
This is why I do all the editing, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll just edit this part out. No, so what are your thoughts on the Super NES Classic? Are you excited for this? What games do you want to see if they missed any? I think that was a good...
Yeah, I think that was a roundabout selection of games. Please let us know in the comments below exactly what it is you think about the SNES Classic and what your demands are for Nintendo. I'm going to say demands. Because
that sounds like a very brutal word.
Yeah, well, it's not as dire as your word, but but no, I'm saying demand because they kind of screwed the pooch on this the last time around, right? The Nintendo Squitch. Squitch.
What's a Squitch? You getting ready for Splatoon
It's when you
2?
screw up a Switch. No, Nintendo Switch was the same kind of situation as the NES Classic, where we're very excited. We wanted to get our hands on it, and there wasn't enough units in the wild for us to get it. Like what I did there, units of the wild. No, not at all.
He talks about me.
I try, ladies and gentlemen.
That doesn't even make sense.
It makes sense.
I'm always drawing with the best ponytail in the business.
It's fabulous.
It's Mr. Nicholas De Jesus.
How's it going tonight, ladies and gentlemen? And I'm always joined by the host with the most, Mr. I'm Wondering himself, with the Kango cap in tow. It's Mr. Peter Anderson, ladies and
As I
gentlemen.
live and breathe.
As he lives and breathes. I didn't say it the first time because I was playing around with some fruit roll-ups.
You were really deep down.
I was really in there. I'm sorry. I needed my sweet tooth fixing.
Oh, of course. We are Improv Gaming. We come to you Tuesday and Thursdays. Gamescast, little 10 to 15 minute chunks about little things like
Seems
this.
like you almost forgot our schedule.
No, I didn't.
You're like Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I've said the same rigmarole for 2.5 years. I would know by now.
It changed recently, sir. It was Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I don't know if you were paying attention, but
That was also the ghost of Mr. Jeremy Bird, R.I.P. Anyway, and also Sunday live show, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you come talk to us or casual conversation, whatever we really feel like talking.
what do you feel like talking about?
That's what I did.
I know. That's why I repeated it.
I love you.
I love you too.
As always, game
Game
on.
on.